Harry has reportedly offered the royal family a peace offering in the form of sharing his official diary engagements with them in a bid to further reduce tensions between him and his father.
Okay, so guess what? Prince Harry is totally out now. Like, all his royal titles and roles are officially gone, and it's not just the king. Even the lords in court said, yep, that's it. And the crazy part is, he used to act like he didn't care, but deep down he kinda did, and now someone else has taken his place. And that person isn't even a full-time royal.
So the idea is that Prince Harry will generously look to avoid overshadowing important royal events going forward by sharing his schedule. This is something that you and I discuss all the time. We're like, oh, the royals have some.
And get this, the guy replacing Harry isn't even family. Like, not at all. He's this military dude, Major Tobias Hamilton, who's super close with Mike Tindall's inner circle, and honestly, that probably hurts more than losing the titles. Like, this isn't some little reshuffle. This is the real deal. Like, officially, Harry is not part of anything royal anymore. Not in name, not in ceremony, not in any way.
I believe that although he won't go so far as to let Prince William manage his schedule, he is, for the first time since tensions began in 2020, open to Prince William being informed of his whereabouts. What a charitable sacrifice from this worthless little twerp.
So the crazy part is this wasn't just drama. It was a real court ruling, and now Harry can't hold any royal roles at all. And what's wild is how fast it all went down. Like, within 2 days, Major Tobias Hamilton got his Marine title and another big military role, just like that.
So if he does not mend relations with his family now, I think it's going to be almost impossible once William is king. He really has to become genuine about admitting some fault, admitting to throwing mud at his family, putting his late grandmother.
Okay, so guess who's calling the shots now? Major Tobias Hamilton just grabbed another big role with the Air Force. Plus, he's now leading all those military charities that used to be under Harry's name. And this time, it wasn't done quietly. Like, everyone important was involved. The king, the prime minister's people, and even the House of Lords were all like, yup, this is happening.
It's not likely that Harry and Meghan will produce anything worth a look in. I mean, the disastrous numbers for the viewing figures of their shows that weren't about them whinging about their victim story and how badly the royal family treated them, which a lot of that has come out just simply wasn't.
So Harry kept saying all this time that he still cared about service and wanted to stay involved, but now the message is loud and clear. They really don't need him anymore, and that stings way more than just losing some titles. Like, those roles meant everything to him. They were his last real link to the royal world and the image he leaned on for years. And when they took his military honors back in 2021, he didn't throw a fit, but he didn't let it go either. He kept saying he served in Afghanistan and cared about veterans and wanted to stay part of it all. But behind the scenes, the royals weren't moved at all. They said, if you want the title, you need to show up and be part of the system.
Is money. I think that their lifestyle is extremely, extremely expensive, and with these deals very quickly drying up, I don't know, there's not that many pots of jam you can sell to fund that lifestyle.
No, that's a very, very good point. And Samara, still with you. And I actually really love our next story.
And honestly, the whole thing came down to discipline and duty, which Harry walked away from when he left the UK, moved to California, and started turning his royal story into books and shows, and then came the final blow. Like last year, there was this quiet court challenge asking if someone who's not a working royal can still hold those fancy titles, and the court didn't hold back. They said, nope, if you don't live in the UK, don't do royal duties, and the king doesn't count you as active, then you can't keep any ceremonial roles at all.
Family farewelling the Royal Yacht Britannia, but we understand that they lobbied the government for a replacement yacht. What was the story here?
Yeah, this was really interesting, actually. So it's newly released files from the National Archives. They revealed that in 1993, Buckingham Palace really quietly lobbied Prime Minister.
So basically, Harry couldn't play both sides anymore, and now this ruling is a big deal. Like, it sets a whole new rule that makes it super hard for him to ever get those roles back. And the palace didn't wait around or ask anyone how they felt. They just dropped the news straight up with a joint statement from the king's team and the Privy Council saying all his old titles are officially gone and reassigned, and that's it. No sweet words, no thanks. Just straight facts. And then, boom, they brought in the new guy.
Favorite thing. She absolutely loved that boat, and it was really, really painful for her to have to say goodbye. And I think it actually contributed to her annus horribilis, which she termed one of the most horrible years, where three of her 4 kids were going through separate divorces at the time.
Okay, so here's the thing. The guy stepping into Harry's old shoes might not be someone you've seen on TV, but inside the royal world, Major Tobias Hamilton is kind of a big deal. Like, he's not just some random dude. He's a decorated combat veteran with more than 15 years of serious service under his belt, and he's done all kinds of important stuff like running joint military outreach programs and being the go-to guy for royal events in other countries. And the real twist is his close link to Mike Tindall, because that's where things get extra interesting. Like, he's been working behind the scenes in Tindall's trusted team, helping out with planning security, and even keeping ties strong with the Commonwealth military during major moments like the Queen's Platinum Jubilee and the start of King Charles's reign. And what's wild is that the palace didn't try to downplay any of this at all. They actually made sure everyone noticed the connection. Like, yeah, this guy is one of us now.
£50 million in order to keep this ship. It just does not look good. So it was quite interesting to hear that some senior courtiers actually met with the Prime Minister and tried to put the Queen's kind of sentiment across. But yeah, I mean,
so while everyone was watching Harry chase the spotlight with his book shows and court drama behind the scenes, Major Hamilton was being called a trusted and solid part of the royal squad, which was honestly a clear hint at how much Mike Tindall is running the game now. And that's where things start to get really interesting, because as Harry kept flying across the Atlantic, Tindall and his crew were locking in real influence inside the palace. And even though most people saw him as just a former rugby guy married to Harry's cousin Tara, he was slowly leveling up in ways no one really saw coming.
In review, but yeah, I think it's very interesting that we're getting this information just now.
Yeah, it is. I always do find it incredibly interesting when, you know, it's obviously been such a long time. It's been more than 30 years. And then all of a sudden this sort of information comes out, gives us a nice...
What really turned heads, though, is how Tindall played the long game. Like, while others were chasing attention, he kept things super quiet, steady, and loyal, and that calm, no drama attitude really started getting noticed by the right people. Inside the palace, insiders say he's been the kind of person who just shows up, does what's needed, and doesn't make a fuss. And that simple, reliable approach ended up earning him serious trust, especially from senior royals like Princess Anne and even King Charles himself. And because Tindall had built that strong foundation over time, his top guy, Major Hamilton, naturally became the perfect choice for these big, important roles. Like, Hamilton isn't out here making noise or trying to be famous. He's that behind-the-scenes type who gets stuff done, follows every instruction, and never asks for the spotlight. And when you compare that to Harry, who's been all over the place with interviews, deals, and drama, it's pretty clear why the palace made the switch. And now here we are with Hamilton stepping up quietly and solidly into the space Harry tried so hard to hold on to.
Now, Louise, he's obviously grown up really quickly, still a kid, obviously, but what have you noticed about the recent kind of positioning or done by the palace insofar as Prince George is concerned?
Can you believe that the uniform Major Hamilton wears now is the same one Harry used to wear with so much pride? And this whole move from the palace wasn't just about swapping out Harry for someone new. It was about showing that royal service isn't just about who you're born as anymore. It's about who actually shows up and does the work. Like, Like, Hamilton didn't get handed his role. He earned it through years of service and dedication. And that hits different when you think about Harry, who spent the last 5 years turning his royal image into a brand while still trying to cling to the titles and roles of the same system he kept criticizing. And what really cuts deep is that now even the Commonwealth, which Harry once had strong ties to, is part of this shift. And that symbolism alone says everything.
And although he is only 12, they have to be very careful around his exposure and obviously his own energy levels and his priorities to really sort of capture and retain some of his childhood as well, and time with his siblings and his mum and dad and his family. So there's been a lot of events where we've seen George step up and be a bit more visible.
You know what's wild? Harry used to be the face everyone connected with in the Commonwealth. Like, he was the one visiting local communities, laughing with people, and making real connections across places like Africa, Australia, and the Caribbean. But things started slipping after he left the UK and jumped into all those big interviews and business deals that didn't really vibe with a lot of Commonwealth leaders. And now, instead of trying to fix that, the palace has moved forward by bringing in Major Hamilton, a guy who's already been putting in real work through military and development efforts in places like Kenya, Barbados, and Australia. And this shift kind of speaks for itself.
VE events to meet veterans with his father. So very sort of strategically and gently and respectfully sort of, preparing him for life as the monarch, eventually himself. So I think, and you see him in action, and he's such a noble and...
So now it's Major Hamilton who steps forward as the new royal face for the Commonwealth military world, and not Harry, not even close. And what's important is that this wasn't just a quiet behind-the-scenes shift. This was the palace making a clear and final break. They didn't sugarcoat it. They didn't act like it was just a routine change. They called it a permanent reassignment straight up, which completely shut down any idea that Harry could maybe return someday in some honorary role. And it also sent a message to the Commonwealth that they're done looking back and are fully focused on a new chapter. And for many people, inside both the royal circle and the military world, this whole thing felt like a long overdue reset, especially with the way Harry's been bouncing around in the media and dealing with lawsuits and public drama non-stop.
Same aircraft, of course. And the next thing I believe too is choosing his senior school, and my money's on Eton, where his father and of course his uncle went, which is, the school that royalty and captains of industry send their sons to.
While the world was busy watching Harry bounce between talk shows, courtrooms, and Netflix premieres, something much bigger and quieter was happening behind palace walls, a slow but clear shift that's now impossible to ignore because Harry isn't just being left out anymore. He's being completely replaced. And what's taking his place isn't just another man in uniform. It's a whole new royal standard built on presence, discipline, and loyalty. And Major Tobias Hamilton is now the face of that change. He's not wearing those medals because of his family tree. He's wearing them because he showed up, earned them, and proved himself again and again over the years. And this shift didn't happen overnight. It's been building quietly, especially with Mike Tindall working behind the scenes, the guy most people just saw as a laid-back rugby star or the husband of Harry's cousin has slowly become one of the most trusted figures in the royal circle, while Harry was busy building his brand. Tindall was building something way stronger: royal trust and respect. He kept showing up to events, supporting military causes, standing beside senior royals, never chasing cameras or headlines, just doing the work. And now that steady presence has paid off in a big way because the monarchy isn't just reshuffling roles. They're making a statement. They're done waiting for Harry to come back or settle down. They're writing a new chapter and he's no longer in it. And what's replacing him isn't louder or flashier, it's smarter, quieter, and a lot more lasting. So if you think this was wild, just wait, because there's so much more where that came from, and trust me, the royal world is full of secrets, twists, and power moves that never make the headlines. But we talk about all of it right here. So if you live for behind-the-scenes drama, quiet takeovers, and the kind of royalty that actually makes you go, wait, what? Then don't just scroll. Hit that subscribe button and be part of the crew. Because on Taylor Tells All, we don't hold back. We connect the dots, spill the truth, and say the things the palace would never dare to. And honestly, it's only getting started. So come through and let's unpack it all together.